We are going to talk about functions now. So this is a review of something you learned last year. So a function is a relation where each input produces one output. So yesterday we talked about relationships and relations, dealing with table, a graph, a mapping, and sets of ordered pairs. Well, this says that each input has exactly one output. So do y'all remember what the inputs are? What variable the input is? It's the x, right? So each x produces exactly one output, y. So it's a function. So a function is a type of relationship. Inputs are independent. Outputs are the dependent, as they depend upon the input. So do y'all remember how we do a table? The x value is already set. When we look at the table of values on our calculator, I remember how to get, let me set this up real quick. 0. So on our calculator, I don't even have anything in y equals. But something that you can look at is your table of values, second graph, and see how the x value is set. It's the y value that change depends on what we put in here. So let's say I put in 2x. Then see how the y value changes, but the x value stays the same. So x is independent. Y depends on what x is, depending on the function. Okay? Input values are the domain. So what variable do we put with the domain? X. Remember how I said that many, many times yesterday? And then what variable is the range? Y. We are going to identify functions with tables. So if we look at these examples, table 1, look at our x values, 4, 7, 8, 12. And then the y values are 2, 2, 4, and 10. The x values don't repeat. Is that it? 5? What did I say it was? Oh, okay. Thanks. So x's don't repeat here. So that means that table 1 is a function. When we look at table 2, we have 3, 3, 5, and 10. And this 3 is with 6, and this 3 is with 9. X values repeat. So I put on there repeat of x equals 3. So if the x values repeat, it is not a function. Table 2 has repeating x values with different y values, so it's definitely not a function. Vertical line test or pencil test. Y'all remember that? The pencil test? Vertical line test? When a relation is graphed, what you look for is a vertical line that only passes through the graph once. If it passes through more than once, then it's not a function. So see how there's vertical lines right here? This is a function. This one is not a function because it passes through twice. So that's why it's circled X. The next one, even though it looks funky, it's not a straight line, it still is a function. Because if you do some vertical lines, it'll only go through once. With ordered pairs, what you need to look for is that x values don't repeat. If the x values don't repeat, then it's a function. So remember, for our ordered pairs, we have x and y. So we want to make sure that that x value doesn't repeat. So you don't even need to look at the y values. The only thing you're looking at are the x values. So I'm going to highlight them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. So that is a function. So there's a little check mark saying it's a function. Example 2. We have 0, 0, 2, 2, and 7. So this tells us the zeros, see how the 0 is with 2 and 0 is with 4? It's not a function. 2 is with 3 and 2 is with 6, so it's not a function. Anytime the x values repeat, it's not a function. And the reason is, if I were to graph these, let's say 0, 2, and 0, 4. What do you notice about those points? They're vertical to each other. It wouldn't pass the vertical line test. Just like the 2, 3, and 2, 6. These would not pass the vertical line test. But instead of having to graph them and look at the vertical line test, we can just look at, do the x values repeat? It's sometimes easier to see if you have a list. See if you list the domain and range for each set. So domain, see how we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And then on example 2, we have 1, 1, 2, 2, 7. Or if we were to list it without repeats, it'd be 1, 2, 7. See how these are not the same? You have less x values. So that means that x's were repeating. As you can see, the domain values in example 2 repeat. Therefore, the relation is not a function. The reason we want to know if the relation is a function or not is because later we will be talking about linear functions, quadratic functions, exponential functions. And so we have to first know, is it a function? And then from there, what type of function? There are 3 main ones that we do in Algebra 1, linear, quadratic, and exponential. All right, so let's look at our practice. We need to determine, is it a function or not? So look at these graphs, and I want you to say function or not. Look at the first one. If we do the vertical line test, yep, it's a function. I'm going to put that on here, function. And the second one, yeah, because I had to do some vertical lines. I still only touch the relationship once. So yeah, this is a function. I'm going to go over to this one real quick. Do y'all remember what the open circles mean?
That keeps going.
Yeah, it's less than or it's greater than. This open circle means it's not included. So on this one, whenever I go down that, this open circle is not included. So that means it only touched the vertical line once. Same thing here. If it was a closed circle, then it would not be a function. But since these are open circles are not included. So it only touched it one time. So this is a function. Okay, the next one, do our vertical lines. Oh, yeah. Did you find where it was not? Yep. 2, 3, and 2, -2. That's where it repeated at those points. So where x is 2, this is not a function. Okay, and then this next one. Yep, not a function. It's going to hit, the vertical line is going to hit the relation twice. So this is not a function. Function or not from a mapping or ordered pairs. So let's look at this mapping. Did any of the x values repeat? 1 is with 7, right? I'm just going to list them. 2 is with 8. 3 is with 6. And 4 is with 7. The y's repeat, but that doesn't matter. It'll still be a function. So, function. X's do not repeat. Okay, let's look at the next one. Do x values repeat? 13. What does 13 go to? 10 and 7, exactly, because it's 2, 10, 13, 10. Oh, that's 2, 9. Whoops. 13, 10, 13, 7, 14, 8. So yeah, the 13s repeat. So this is not a function. Let's look at these ordered pairs. Go ahead and do that. You put function or not a function. So you should have function or not a function on each one of these. Okay. Okay, so let's look at it. The first one, I highlighted them. The x values. First one is a function. Second one, not a function. The 4's repeat. The next one, yep, not a function. Next one, no repeat, so it is a function. And then the last one, not a function. Okay, glue this in your journal. And your assignment's going to be on Google Classroom. It's called a card sort.